Now information about situation in the ATO zone presented by the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine spokesperson and NATO-related issues, Colonel Andriy Lysenko. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Now the information about an anti-terror operation and about training of Ukrainian armed forces. And now about the areas. The Lugansk sector, the main military actions were in Stanично-Lugansk region until dawn and at twilight, and the militants used armored vehicles and small arms. And also in Krymsk, during the day, there was 20-minute firing between Ukrainian forces and the occupants. During the last 24 hours in the Lugansk sector, there were 5 enemy shellings recorded. The Donetsk sector military action started in the evening at about 8 p.m. and in Avdiivka, the enemy delivered fire for 4 hours, sporadically used mortars. And in Pisky, enemy shelling was shorter. It lasted about 1 hour, but there the enemy opened fire with the use of mortar and tank. Also, the occupants violated ceasefire in neighboring Shakhta-Butivka position, and in other part of front line there were no military actions. And on the whole, in the Donetsk sector there were 3 enemy shellings, including 2 with the use of heavy weapons. Yesterday in the evening, near Mayorsk checkpoint, 2 civilians, a man and a woman, were blown up on an explosive device. These are the residents of a neighboring Zhovanka village. This man and a woman tripped a mine at the side of the road. This mine was set by the enemy, and man died on site, and a woman was heavily wounded by a mine and was brought to Bakhmut hospital, and now doctors fight for her life. And in the Mariupol sector, the situation is tense in Krasnogorivka, Vetroitska, and Pavlo-Pershirokina part of front line. The enemy 4 times used mortars, twice armored vehicles. Ukrainian forces were forced to return fire, and the biggest number of enemy shellings happened in Shirokina. On the whole, in the Mariupol sector, the enemy violated ceasefire 14 times. During the last 24 hours, in the result of the military actions, no Ukrainian serviceman was killed, but 4 servicemen were wounded. And yesterday in Donetsk, border guards found a cache of ammunition and military equipment. In Novotroitska, this was a cache in which there were hand grenade, 80 cartridges, military uniform, medical kit of Russian make, and radio station. Ukrainian courts brought decisions in cases of 2 proxies of Russian world. Slavyansk town district court of Donetsk Oblast brought a sentence for the resident of Gorlovka who cooperated with EPR militants. The perpetrator in June 2014 voluntarily joined the ranks of the militants, and he was guarding one of the leaders of the militants. And in March this year, SB officers detained the militant at the contact line in the Yasenovats region, and the court sentenced him to 5 years in prison. And these days in Lugansk, they sentenced to 10 years the subverter who blew up a bridge across Seversk-Donetsk River. SB officers detained this subverter of a ghost member of the Ghost militant group in February 2016. It was identified that in May 2014, together with other militants, he mined a NATO bridge between Severodonetsk and Lysychansk in order to stop ATO forces. After they blew up a bridge, the man was hiding in a temporarily occupied territories, and then he came back to Luganshina that is controlled by Ukrainian power, and there he was detained by law enforcers. In the course of searching his residence, they confiscated handmade explosive device, ammunition, mounting equipment that was used for subversive act. radio technical forces of Air Force Command, called West of the Air Force of Armed Forces of Ukraine, took part in the command and staff training. The participants of the event carried out such tasks. They brought radio technical detachments to a safe region, and also they commanded radio technical brigades in conditions of offensive of the enemy, and also they carried out radio reconnaissance activities. If you have questions, please ask. About the losses. In Novotroitsk, 2 were traumatized, and in Shirokina, 2 wounded, all in course of shelling. If there are no other questions, thank you.